Peace, Israel, and Yah bless. The title of today's lesson is Fallen, Rogue, Gangster, Outlaw, Renegade, Thugged Out Angels. Long title. We'll start this lesson the way we normally do. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Now, some of you believe that there are such things as a rogue angel, an outlaw angel, a renegade, gangster, thugged out angel that's just doing whatever he wants. And it's doing things contrary to the Most High's law. So what we're going to do what we normally do. We will go into the script and see if there's such a thing as an outlaw angel anywhere in this book. A rogue angel, a thug angel, just doing whatever he or she so pleases. And we have not seen a female angel in here anywhere. But nevertheless, tighten up your jaws. Do not look to the left or to the right. You might get hit in the mouth. Let's walk the straight way and deal with the Most High's truth. We will start at Genesis chapter 6. Genesis chapter 6, verse 1. Let's see where this whole angel fell from heaven nonsense came from. Genesis chapter 6, verse 1 reads, And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, verse 2, that the sons of Yah saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. Verse 3, And Yah said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. So man has an appointed time to live. 120 years. That's the set bounds for him. Verse 4. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of Yah came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same came mighty men, which were men of old, men of renown. Verse 5. And Yah saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart were only evil continually. Verse 6. And it repented Yah that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. So we see here where the Most High was grieved at his heart because of the wickedness of men. Verse 7. And Yah said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repented me that I have made them. Verse 8. But Noah found grace in the eyes of Yah. So, we were told that JC the idol brought truth and grace, etc. So grace was here before him. We see here clearly that grace was extended unto Noah. Now, the sons of man and the sons of God. So clearly there's a difference being made. And some of you are thinking that the sons of God, you may think these are angels. These are people. Okay, the sons of God are people from the line of Adam, and the sons of men are those that are not of the line of Adam. Okay, because Adam was not the first man. Okay, so we're going to go into that, and we're going to have to do some backtracking for us to kind of make this lesson clear. So what we have here are a mixing of nations, something that Israel is instructed not to do. Now, let's backtrack to Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1, and we will read verse 27. Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. And it reads, So Yah created man in his own image. In the image of Yah created he him. Male and female created he them. So we're dealing in Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, where the Most High created both male and female. He created both of them. All right, now, let's go down to verse 31 of the same chapter. And Yah saw everything that he had made, and behold, It was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. So this is the sixth day creation where the Most High has created people. No names given to them, but he created male and female in the sixth day. All right. Notice the evening and the morning was the sixth day. Okay. So the day does not begin in the morning. Now, so we see here where the Most High has created some people on the sixth day. Now, let's jump to Genesis chapter 2, where we have the creation of Adam and Eve from dust. Okay? Now, let's go to Genesis chapter 2, and we will read verse 7 and verse 8. Verse 7 reads, And Yah formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Verse 8, And Yah planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. So you have this garden of Eden that the Most High has, okay, and he had already created some people on the sixth day. Chapter 1. Now we're in chapter 2. He's made a man or woman from dust. Now, he took this man and this woman, Adam and this Eve, and he placed them eastward of the garden. So they're separate from all the other people. They're separate from the other nations that's already created. Okay? Didn't say how many. He just said he created man and woman. Didn't say how many. All right? And they were not given by name. Okay? However, Adam and Eve are separated. They are placed eastward of the garden Eden. So keep that in mind. So they are separate from everyone else. Now, let's go to Genesis chapter 3, and we will deal with verse 1. Now, the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which Yah had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath Yah said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? So, this serpent, he was more slick. He was cunning. He was conniving. He was deceptive, more so than any of the beasts of the field. Now, when you're thinking beast, you may be thinking lions, tigers, and bears. That's not the case, okay? This serpent is not a snake. This is a man of a nation. Because the garden is filled with nations of people, and I will get to that in this book. Okay, so you get to understanding this. So when you hear beast or you hear trees, you have to look at the context of the verbiage. Okay, because sometimes it's an actual tree, sometimes it's an actual beast, i.e. a lion or a tiger or whatever the case may be. But in many cases, they are in reference to people and nations. Okay, so keep those things in mind. So we see here where the serpent, he was much more slick, okay, than any of the beasts of the field. All right. So this serpent is not a snake. This serpent is a man. And I will clarify this as this lesson continues. Now, let's jump down, stay in the same chapter. We're going to go to Genesis. We're still in Genesis chapter 3. We will go to verse 14 and verse 15. Same chapter. All right. Verse 14 and 15 of Genesis chapter 3 reads, And Yah said unto the serpent, Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. That's verse 14. Verse 15. And I will put enmity, hate, between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel, and thou shalt bruise his heel. So, we know a few things. Snake do not talk. Snake does not walk. And we know if you took a snake and fed him dust, he's going to die. Okay, so once again, this is not a snake. This is a man. Okay, keep that in mind. And the Most High said he was going to put hate, discord, between the woman's seed and the serpent seed. Okay, so there's going to be a difference between those two lines of people. Okay, so I want you to keep that in mind. Okay, So let's go ahead and see where that hate, actually comes into play. All right. Now we're going to go to Genesis chapter 4. We're going to read verse 1 through 16. Genesis chapter 4, verse 1 through 16. And this is going to show the hate between the two seeds, the woman's seed and the serpent seed. Okay. Now, Genesis chapter 4 reads, And Adam knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from Yah. Verse 2. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. Notice, Abel, keeper of sheep, just like David was. Okay, so keep that in mind. Verse 3. And in process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto Yah. So Cain brings forth an offering to the Most High, and it is fruit from the ground. Verse 4. And Abel, he also brought of the firstling of his flock and the fat thereof. And Yah had respect unto Abel and to his offering. So Abel brings the best of his firstlings of the flock and the fat thereof, and the Most High had respect unto Abel and his offering. Notice, Abel is doing the same thing that you see years down the line in the house of Israel, offering the firstling, the best of the flock, and the fat as an offering. This is way back here in Genesis. Okay, so people say, oh, the Most High don't have respect of persons. Yes, he does. He doesn't have respect of persons in judgment, but he have respects of person because he had respect unto Cain right here, unto Abel, okay? And the Most High has respect unto the house of Israel as a whole. All right? Now, verse 5 reads, But unto Cain and to his offering he had no respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. His face was sad, okay? And he was upset because he saw clearly that the Most High had respect unto his brother's offering and not unto his. Verse 6, And Yah said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? Verse 7, If thou doest well, shall thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Verse 8, And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. So what we're seeing here is exactly what was referenced in chapter 3, verse 15. Chapter 3, verse 15 of Genesis, And I will put hate between thee and the woman, between thy seed and her seed, and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Enmity, hate, okay? Now, so we're seeing that taking place here between these two sons of this woman, all right? Now, verse 9, And Yah said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? Of course, the Most High already knows what has taken place, okay? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? Verse 10, And he said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. Verse 11, And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hast opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. Verse 12, When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. So Cain is cursed to be a fugitive and a vagabond, meaning that he is going to be wanted. Okay? When he plants his crops, it will not reap. The earth will not give of her fruit to him. Okay? And he will be a vagabond, meaning he'll be moving place to place. He will have no place, no resting place, so to speak. Verse 13, And Cain said unto Yah, My punishment is greater than I can bear. Verse 14, Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. That's verse 14. So now, if you actually believe that it was Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel, that means you were talking four people. So Adam and Eve is here, Cain and Abel is here. Cain killed Abel, that would leave three people, if that's your thinking. So he is saying anyone that sees him, let me reread that, okay? This is Cain speaking, verse 14 of chapter 4, Genesis. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that every one that findeth me shall slay me. So if it's just Adam and Eve and Cain, he didn't say if my father saw me, he's going to slay me. He didn't say if my mother sees me, she's going to slay me. That's not what was said, because he was driven out. So he was driven out from the presence of his parents. But yet, he cried out to the Most High, saying, anyone that sees him, not anyone, everyone, as a matter of fact, everyone that findeth me shall slay me. So that's a clear indication there are more people on the earth than just three people in this garden. Okay? Now verse 15. And Yah said unto him, therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be upon him sevenfold. And Yah set a mark upon Cain, lest any find him should kill him. So the Most High marked this man Cain. Now we don't know exactly what that mark was, but we kind of could have an idea of exactly what this mark is. Anyway, the Most High put a mark on Cain that anyone that should kill him is going to pay sevenfold. It didn't say if Adam killed Cain. It didn't say if Eve killed Cain. It said if anyone killed him, because Cain was driven from where his parents were. Keep that in mind. Okay? Verse 16. And Cain went out from the presence of Yah and dwelt in the land of Nod, on the east of Eden. Keep this in mind. Now, verse 17. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch. And he built a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch. Now, so this man Cain left and went to the land of Nod. Okay? And he took a wife. So, let's look at this. Adam, Eve, Cain, Abel. Adam and Eve is up here. Two of them. Cain, Abel. Abel is dead. All we have is Adam, Eve, and Abel. So you got to ask yourself now, where did this wife come from? She is of the sixth-day creation. Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. Okay? So she is coming from that creation, a totally different set of people. Remember, we're talking about a garden that's full of people, different nations. Okay? Adam and Eve were set apart from them. So now, we have discussed here where we see Cain has taken a wife. All right? Now, we are in Genesis chapter 4. So we've read all the way to 17. So we know clearly where his wife came from, being this introduced entity. It's nothing strange. The Most High had created people on the sixth day. Keep that in mind. Now let's jump down. To Genesis chapter 4. Still in chapter 4, we're going to go to verse 25 and verse 26. We're still in the same chapter. Verse 25 reads, And Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son, and called his name Seth. For Yah, she said, hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. Verse 26. And to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. Then began men to call upon the name of Yah. So, until Seth came, and Seth's son Enos, no one called upon the name of Yah. Why? Because they are a totally different set of people. Okay, you have different nations and no one is called upon the name of the Most High, but the Most High created Adam's line totally separate. Hence, he took them and put them eastward of the garden. They were separated from the rest of the nations in Eden. Okay? So try to get a grasp of that. So after Enoch, after Seth, and came Enoch, then men begin to call upon the name of the Most High, because the other nations just simply could not. Okay? All right. Now let's go to Genesis chapter 5. All of this is covering. We're going to come back to these angels in a second, but I just want to show you where the separation is between the sons of God and the sons of men. All right. We're at Genesis chapter 5. And we're going to see where Adam's line begins. Okay? Genesis chapter 5, we're going to read verse 1 through verse 8. And Genesis chapter 5 reads, "This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that Yah created man, in the likeness of Yah made he him." Verse 2. "Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam, in the day when they were created." Verse 3. "And Adam lived 130 years, and begot a son in his own likeness, after his image, and called his name Seth." So we're now not dealing with Cain. He's cast out. We're not dealing with Abel. Abel's been murdered. We're dealing with Seth. Okay? Verse 4. "And the days of Adam after he begot Seth were 800 years, and he begot sons and daughters." Verse 5. "And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died." Verse 6. "And Seth lived 105 years, and begot Enos." All right? Now, and he begot Enos. All right? Now, verse 7. "And he lived after he begot Enos 807 years, and begot sons and daughters. And the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died." So we see here where the genealogy from Adam comes from Adam straight to Seth. And this is how this lineage comes all the way through up to the house of Israel. So we understand how that genealogy is listed. Okay? So you see the two different bloodlines, if you will. Because remember, Cain is cast out. So and his seed does not count. And between Cain's seed and the woman's seed, who will be the seed of Adam, they're going to be hate. Between the serpent seed, which is one man, and Adam, a totally different man. Okay, so these two seeds are going to collide. It's going to be hate between them. Okay, and I want you to notice the supplanting of the firstborn. So those Seth is coming after both Cain and Abel. Okay, Seth now is from his bloodline. Do you see the continuation of the line of Adam? The line of Cain is not counted. He is that of the serpent seed. Nowhere do you see anywhere in Genesis or anywhere from Genesis to Malachi where any angel ever fell out of the sky, and you will not see anywhere where any angel disobeyed the Most High. This is a myth. This is a lie. Okay, so we have covered the serpent seed. We covered Seth. We covered the line of Adam. And we've covered the sons of man. Now let's go to Deuteronomy 32. Deuteronomy 32. We'll go to Deuteronomy 32 and we'll read verse 39. Deuteronomy 32 and we will read verse 39. And it reads, "See now that I, even I, am he," singular, "and there is no God with me. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand." So we're seeing here clearly The Most High is saying he's one. That's what these I and I am and he, that's what that means. He's one. Just like we were commanded in the first, Genesis 6 verse 4. Deuteronomy 6 verse 4. Okay, so the Most High clearly made the statement to the house of Israel that he is one. He kills, he makes alive. When you see someone being killed, murdered, shot, however you see this, when evil is brought upon someone, it is the Most High doing it. When someone is healed, it's the Most High doing it. He's making it plain to us that he is responsible for all of these things. Okay? Now, let's go to Isaiah 45. Isaiah 45 verse 7. Isaiah 45 verse 7 reads, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, Yah, do all these things. So when there's peace, the Most High is responsible for that. When there's evil, the Most High is responsible for that. Okay? So there is no such thing as some devil making you do something evil. It doesn't exist. Okay? The Most High makes plain to the house of Israel that he kills and he makes alive. He creates light and dark, good and evil. He's responsible for all of these things. So if he wants evil to be done to someone, he doesn't have to call up someone named Satan to do it. Okay, the Most High is responsible for it. So when you find curses upon your house or you find affliction upon your soul, you ought to call upon the Most High because he's the one doing it to you. And since he's doing it, thus he is able to remove it should you repent from your wrongdoing. Okay, so you have to rely upon the Most High. He is responsible for all of these things. Now, let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 23. 1 Samuel 16, verse 23. All right. 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 23. And it reads, And it came to pass, when the evil spirit from Yah was upon Saul, that David took an harp and played with his hands. So Saul was refreshed and was well, and the evil spirit departed from him. So, an evil spirit did not come from Satan, did not come from a fallen angel. It came from the Most High. Point 1. Now let's go to 1 Kings 22. 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 22. 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 22. 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 22, and we'll read verse 22 and verse 23. Verse 22 reads, And Yah said unto him, Wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, Thou shalt persuade him, and prevail also. Go forth, and do so. Verse 23. Now therefore, behold, Yah hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these thy prophets, and Yah hath spoken evil concerning thee. So this all speaks to Ahab and the Most High. You know, spirits were gathered before him. These are angels. And one was sent to put a lying mouth or lying words in the mouth of the prophets of Ahab. Okay, so as you read the book, you will see these types of things over and over again. Okay, so the angels look like men. You will see nowhere where an angel is a renegade or a gangster or thugged out angel. It's not happening. And you will not see anywhere in these books from Genesis to Malachi where any angel has wings. Angels have the appearance of men. They have the likeness unto men. Okay, so you will not see an angel with wings in here. It's fictitious. It's a lie. Now, let's go to 2 Kings. 2 Kings chapter 19. 2 Kings chapter 19, verse 34. Second Kings chapter 19, verse 34. And verse 34 of 2 Kings chapter 19 reads, we'll read verse 34 and verse 35. For I will defend this city to save it for mine own sake and for my servant's David's sake. Verse 35. And it came to pass that night that the angel of Yah went out and smote in the camp of Assyria 185,000. And when they arose early in the morning, behold, they were all dead corpses. Now, this is the angel of the Most High being sent to kill Assyrians, to kill 185,000 of them. Okay? And this is the Sennacherib blaspheming the Most High. So the Most High sent an angel, and the angel killed, brought evil upon the entire Assyrian army. Okay? And so much so that he killed 185,000. All right? So we understand clearly that angels can protect and angels can destroy. And the Most High is in control of them. Okay? So he can send an angel to utter destruction and give judgment and kill, or he can send an angel to protect. Okay? And it goes both ways. Now, let's go to Exodus chapter 12, verse 23. Exodus chapter 12 and verse 23. Exodus chapter 12, verse 23 reads, For Yah will pass through to smite the Egyptians, and when he seeth the blood upon the lintel and on the two side posts, Yah will pass over the door, and will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your houses to smite you. Who is this destroyer? This is an angel. Okay, so for Passover, we were instructed to take the blood of that goat or that lamb and to sprinkle it over the doorpost, the two side posts and the top of the post, the top of the doorpost. That way, when that destroyer came over Egypt, we would see that blood on the doorpost, and the destroyer, that angel, would not come into that house and let that plague kill the firstborn of that house. Okay? So once again, this is the Most High's angel at work before his people. Now let's go to Exodus 23, and we will read verse 20 and 21. Exodus 23. Exodus 23, and we will read verse 20 and 21, verse 20 and 21 of Exodus chapter 23. Verse 20 reads, Behold, I send an angel before thee, to keep thee in the way, and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Verse 21, Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. So we were instructed while we were being guided through that the angel of the Most High would be before us. We were not to provoke him, because he would not pardon our transgression. Okay? So before we got into the land of Canaan, we were guided there by the Most High's angel. And we were instructed specifically what we just read, not to provoke him. Okay? Now, let's go to 1 Chronicles chapter 21. 1 Chronicles chapter 21. And we'll read verse 15. 1 Chronicles chapter 21, verse 15. And verse 15 reads, And Yah sent an angel unto Jerusalem to destroy it. And as he was destroying, Yah beheld, and he repented him of the evil, and said to the angel that destroyed, It is enough, stay not thine hand. And the angel of Yah stood by the threshing floor of Onan the Jebusite. All right. Here, David actually ordered the captain of his host to number Israel. That thing was a sinful thing to do. It ought not to be done. So since David did that and he knew he was wrong, the Most High sent that angel to do some destruction in Jerusalem. And he did exactly that until it was enough. And the Most High stopped him. So that destruction is evil. That's what you would think. But it is judgment for what David had done. And the Most High sent an angel to execute that judgment. And when that judgment was sufficient, the Most High caused that angel to cease from destroying. So the renegade angel thing is nonsense. Okay, because you have angels who are already killing. You understand? And the Most High instructs them to do this. And they do it. You cannot come in this book and find me anywhere from Genesis to Malachi, the true book of real prophets. There are no prophets past Malachi. And show me where an angel fell from the sky. It is not in here. You cannot show me where an angel disobeyed the Most High's law and his commandment. It is not here. All right. Now, let's go to 2 Chronicles, and we'll deal with Ahab once again. 2 Chronicles chapter 18. 2 Chronicles chapter 18, and we will read verse 22 and 23. And this deals with Ahab. Same thing we've read earlier. Verse 22 and 23 we will read of 2 Chronicles chapter 18. And it reads, Now therefore, behold, Yah hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of these thy prophets, and Yah has spoken evil against thee. Then Zedekiah, the son of Chenaniah, came there and smote Micaiah upon the cheek and said, Which way went the spirit of Yah from me to speak unto thee? So, the spirit of the Most High, he can A, do things in spirit, or B, he can do it with the presence of his angels. Okay, so the whole renegade angel thing is nonsense once again. What you have are two separate seeds. You have the line of Adam, you have the serpent seed, and then you have those of the other nations. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Ezekiel chapter 31. All right, I was going to have you read this on your own, but I will read it. That way you can see clearly that when you hear the term beast, and when you look at the context and the content, okay, you have to look at the verbiage for you to clearly understand whether we're speaking of actually a beast as an animal, or the beast as a man. Are we speaking of a literal tree, or are we speaking of nations of people? Okay, so we're going to kind of look at that in Ezekiel chapter 31, so you understand clearly what is really going on in this Garden of Eden, and that you understand clearly that in this garden there are many nations of people. Okay? Ezekiel chapter 31, verse 1 reads, And it came to pass in the 11th year, in the 3rd month, in the 1st day of the month, that the word of Yah came unto me, saying, verse 2, Son of man, speak unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and to his multitude, whom art thou like in thy greatness? Behold, the Assyrian was a cedar in Lebanon, with fair branches, and with a shadowing shroud, and of an high stature, and his top was among the thick boughs. Verse 4, The waters made him great, The deep set him up upon high, with her rivers running round about his plants, and sent out her little rivers unto all the trees of the field. Verse 5. Therefore his height was exalted above all the trees of the field, and his boughs were multiplied, and his branches became long, because of the multitude of waters when he shot forth. Verse 6. All the fowls of heaven made their nest in his boughs, and under his branches did all the beasts of the field bring forth their young, and under his shadow dwelt all great nations. Verse 7. Thus was he fair in his greatness, and in the length of his branches, for his root was by great waters. Verse 8. The cedar in the garden of Yah could not hide him. The fir trees were not like his boughs, and the chestnut tree were not like his branches. Nor any tree in the garden of Yah was like unto him in his beauty. So it's showing clearly here that the Assyrian was bigger, he was better than all the other trees, than all the other nations in this garden. Verse 9. I have made him fair by the multitude of his branches, so that all the trees of Eden that were in the garden of Yah envied him. So all the trees envied the Assyrian. In other words, all the nations envied the Assyrian because he was more beautiful than all of the others. Okay, verse 10. Therefore, thus saith Yah, because thou hast lifted up thyself in height, and he has shot up his top among the thick boughs, and his heart is lifted up in his height. So as the Assyrian became bigger, stronger, and was made more beautiful by the Most High, what the Assyrian did, he became prideful. Okay, he lifted up himself. Verse 11. I have therefore delivered him into the hand of the mighty one of the heathen. I have delivered him to the hands of the other nations. He shall surely deal with him. I have driven him out for his wickedness. So the Assyrian and his wickedness and his pride, he was delivered to the hands of the mighty, to those of the other nations. Verse 12. And strangers, the terrible of the nations, have cut him off, and have left him upon the mountains, and in all the valleys his branches are fallen, and his boughs are broken by all the rivers of the land. And all the people of the earth are gone down from his shadow, and have left him. So the Assyrian, all nations were under his shadow, or under his boughs, under his branches. Okay, as he is being stripped, as he is being humbled, all the nations will flee from him, is what you're seeing here, as he's being humbled for being prideful and being lifted up. Verse 13. Upon his ruin shall all the fowls of the heavens remain, and all the beasts of the field shall be upon his branches. Verse 14. To the end that none of all the trees by the rivers exalt themselves for their height, neither shoot up their top among the thick boughs, neither their trees stand up in their height. All that drink water, for they are all delivered unto death, to the nether parts of the earth, in the midst of the children of men, with them that go down to the pit. So it's saying that all the other trees will not lift up their head. In other words, they will not become prideful, because the very end is the pit, death, the grave. Verse 15. Thus saith Yah, in the day when he went down to the grave, I caused a mourning. I covered the deep for him, and I restrained the floods thereof. And the great waters were stayed. And I caused Lebanon to mourn for him, and all the trees of the field fainted for him. Verse 16. I made the nations to shake at the sound of his fall, when I cast him down to hell, with them that descended into the pit. Hell is the grave, death, nothing more, nothing less. And all the trees of Eden, the choice of the best of Lebanon, all that drink water, shall be comforted in the nether parts of the earth. Verse 17. They also went down into hell with him, unto them that be slain with the sword, and they that were his arm, that dwelt under his shadow, in the midst of the heathen. Verse 18. To whom art thou thus like, in glory and in greatness among the trees of Eden? Yet shalt thou be brought down with trees of Eden unto the nether parts of the earth. Thou shalt lie in the midst of the uncircumcised with them that be slain by the sword. This is Pharaoh in all his multitude, saith Yah. So Pharaoh is being compared to the Assyrian, as in Pharaoh actually became prideful himself. So the end result for him was that he would be brought low, just like the Assyrian was brought low for pride, for pomp, for arrogance. Okay? So this is the result of that. Now, as you look at this chapter, you'll see clearly that these trees are referred to, these are nations, these are people. So as we consider what's going on in Eden, what's going on in Eden really is you have a separate bunch of nations that's in Eden. Adam and Eve were placed east of Eden in a garden. They were separated from everyone else. So I just wanted to come to Ezekiel chapter 31 to explain clearly that trees are not always trees, and beasts are not always beasts as in an animal. Trees are referred to as nations, and also you can see where beasts are people. And Ezekiel chapter 31 actually explains this clearly. Peace, Israel. So when you read Ezekiel chapter 31, it's letting you know exactly what the fate of Pharaoh was. Pharaoh and his multitude. The same as with the Assyrians. Okay, it's giving you an allegory as far as, okay, trees and beasts, but we're dealing with nations in the garden. Okay, and what you have here is a vast landmass, okay, i.e. the landmass of Africa, okay, which is where this garden was located. And what you have are many different nations in this garden. Okay? And you have this man, Adam and Eve, that was set apart in this garden. And you have this snake, which is not a snake, this man from this other nation, okay, who beguiled this woman. Okay? And this man seed collided with the seed of Adam. Okay? And that's where this problem begins. All right? So the serpent seed simply implies that the first child that this woman Eve bore was not the seed of Adam. That's what it implies. Hence, when Adam's seed was born, second, who is Abel, that's where it was said that the serpent seed and the woman's seed, and we know that a woman does not have seed. So you can use it as the fruit of the woman's womb. You can say it in that term if you like. Okay? And that's where you see the difference collide. And that's why those two seeds were separate. Okay? So that's a way for you to consider this whole story as far as, you know, the sons of God and the sons of men. Sons of God happen to be Adam's line. Sons of men happen to be those who were in the garden that are of the other nations. This may be something that makes sense to you. It might not. Okay? And as I read the book, this is my understanding of it as I study it. Okay? So therefore, there's no such thing, once again, as angels falling out of the sky. You would have to show me that. And if you can show me where angels fell out of the sky, anywhere from Genesis to Malachi, real prophets, or out of the Most High's law, or show me where an angel actually disobeyed the Most High, there's no such thing. I haven't read that yet. I haven't read it anywhere where an angel disobeyed the Most High. I haven't read where an angel can do what he wants. I haven't read anywhere where man was ever intended to live forever. There's no such thing. And there's also no such thing as man being perfect. Okay? To be perfect does not mean to be sinless. And we must understand that. So Once again, no renegade angel, no thugged out angel, no outlaw angel, no rogue angel, no gangster angel. There's no such thing. Okay? To even imply that nonsense would be implying that the Most High is unable to control anything. The people he makes is out of control. The angel he makes is out of control. And he has to go make himself a second time, kill himself to save something that's out of control. The whole context and the whole theory behind that is foolishness. And that is certainly blasphemous. So that concludes this lesson. I hope you all understand clearly that sons of God, sons of man, line of Adam, and the line of the nations. Okay? Specifically, you have those who are of the serpent seed. Okay? And you can read that. Isaiah chapter 14. Okay? Where you find that individual who is simply trying to be like the Most High. Okay? And in so doing, what he does is he encourages and he teaches things that are counter to what the Most High's instructions were. So the house of Israel, we were giving a set of instructions, and you have a set of people, serpent seed, that is bringing information to the house of Israel and to the people of the earth, something that's totally counterproductive and totally contrary to what the Most High has given the house of Israel. Just like in the garden, Adam and Eve were given a set of instructions. Hey, do not eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge and evil. Okay? Good and evil. Then you have the serpent, a man from another nation, come and tell them otherwise. Okay? So, and she disregarded the counsel of the Most High and listened to him. So, what I'm doing here is I give you the words of the Most High, his laws and his prophets. And there's individuals that I've had conversations with. I give them this information and they tell me, well, Paul said this and Paul said that. Same thing Eve did. Most High told her one thing. She's telling the Most High what the man said. So you have to make a determination on exactly whose counsel you're going to follow. You're going to follow Paul, or you're going to follow the Most High. All right? So make your choice, Israel. Determine exactly who it is you will serve and what you will follow. Okay? Paul nor anyone else. No one counters the Most High's laws, judgments, statutes, and precepts. No one counters that. No one brings a story that's contrary to that. And anyone that's doing that, you should not listen to them. It will get you killed. Anyway, peace, Israel. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Stay in the book. There are no renegade angels at all. Never have been, never will be. Angels are in direct obedience to the Most High. Angels look like men. Angels do not have wings. Peace, Israel.